Lakeview Elementary in Mrs. Albertoni's class. The story I have chosen today is Stella Farmed. It was another ordinary Monday morning at 9 a.m., precisely when Stella walked into Space Command. She only had one thing on her mind. She wanted to become an astronaut. So she walked up to the man at the desk and asked, "Hello, I'd like to become an astronaut." The man stopped clicking on his keyboard, picked up his cup of coffee, looked up, and splurt! His coffee went everywhere, all over his keyboard. But you're an elephant, he said. "I am," said Stella, holding out her application. "But we've never had an elephant astronaut before." "I know. I would be the first." "But we can't just let an elephant be an astronaut. Just think about what would happen. We'd have all sorts of animals trying to get approval." "But you've sent some other animals to space." "Yes, but those animals were smaller. We don't make spacesuits in your size. So unless you can find a spacesuit, I can't approve your application." So Stella went over and she grabbed her measuring tape and measured. Then she went over to the sewing machine and sewed. And she grabbed her tools and tinkered until finally it was ready. So she asked the man, "Now can I be an astronaut? I'm sorry, but you need to complete basic training. And we're not ready to set up to train elephants. You're too big. Plus, I think you'd break all of our equipment. So unless you can find teachers and equipment, I can't approve your application." So Stella found some teachers, and she'd studied science, and she'd grabbed her weights and strengthened, and she practiced and prepared until finally she was ready. So she asked the man, "Now can I be an astronaut?" "I'm sorry, but you need a rocket, and our rockets aren't built to lift elephants. You're too heavy, and I don't think you would fit through the door, so unless you can find a rocket, I can't approve your application." So Stella went and to the sketching board and she sketched. Then she went over and tested all the pieces, and then she finally assembled until finally it was ready. So she asked the man, "Now can I be an astronaut?" I'm sorry, but you need a crew, and none of our astronauts want to fly with an elephant. They say it's bad luck. They say it's too dangerous. They say something's bound to go wrong. So unless you can find a crew, I can't approve your application." So Stella gathered all of her friends, and together they did the things Stella did. They all studied science, they all grabbed their weights and strengthened, and they all practiced and prepared until finally they were all ready. So she asked the man, "Now can I be an astronaut?" with her crew, and the man was all out of excuses. So he went to go ask his manager, but his manager didn't know what to do. So the man's manager went to go get his manager, but the manager's manager didn't know what to do, so he went to go get his manager. On and on this went until they ran out of managers, and the only one left was the big boss of Space Command. So they asked him, and they sat at a long table to have a talk about the elephant in the room. Blah, 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 blah. And Stella was thinking, why won't they approve my application? I've got a crew, I've completed basic training, and I got a rocket and suit. They just have to let me be an astronaut. They just have to. Then she realized she did not need their approval. She already had everything she needed. So she went to her crew, they got their spacesuits on, walked onto the launch pad, and over the command speaker went, "T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, ignition! We have liftoff!" And then they're all floating in space, and they go into the Hall of Astronauts. The end.
Today I will be telling the story of The Nightingale and the Rose by Oscar Wilde, told in my own words. Have you ever heard the call of a nightingale bird? It's a lovely and heartbreaking song, the sound of love, if love had a sound. There once was a young student who fell deeply in love with his professor's daughter, but there was one problem. She said she would only dance with him at the prince's ball if he gave her one red rose. But he grew no red roses in his garden. "What shall I do?" the student moaned. "She asks for a red rose, but I have none to give." From her perch in an oak tree, a nightingale hears him. Here is the one I sing of every nightfall, one who knows and longs for true love. How can I help him? So she flew off with her brown wings, and on her flight she spied a rose tree. What luck! She lit on one of its branches. I will sing you my best song, the nightingale promised to the tree, if you give me one red rose. But the tree shook its head. My roses are white, white like the foam of the sea, whiter than the snow on the snow-capped mountains. My roses aren't red, but you make it what you want from my brother who grows around the old sundial. So the nightingale flew to the rose tree that grew around the old sundial on one of its branches. I will sing you my very best song, the nightingale said, if you give me one red rose. But the tree shook its head. My roses are yellow, yellow like the mermaiden's hair that sits on an amber throne, yellower than the daffodils that grow in the spring. My roses aren't red, but you may get what you want from my brother who grows under the student's window. So the nightingale flew to the rose tree that grew under the student's window and lit on one of its branches. I will sing you my very, very best song, the nightingale promised, if you give me one red rose. But the tree shook its head. My roses are red, but my branches have been bitten by the frost, and I can grow roses no more. Please, begged the nightingale. Well, there is one way, but it's much too gruesome to tell. Please, pleaded the nightingale again. I'll do anything. So the tree sighed and started to explain. At night, you must take a rose thorn and pierce your chest while singing your sweetest song. The moon will listen and grow a rose from your heart blood. Well, said the nightingale, that seems much too high a price for a red rose, but if love is better than life, this must be the only way to do it. So she flew off to go make the student promise that he would never forget his love for the maiden. But he didn't understand her, for he only understood what was written in books. That evening, the nightingale did exactly as the tree had told her to do. She pierced her chest with a rose thorn and sang her very best. Press harder, little nightingale, said the rose, or the day will come before the rose is finished. So the nightingale pressed even harder and sang even louder. The sun started to rise, and a rose started to grow from the tree's branches, but the nightingale didn't stop to look. She kept singing, and once the sun was high in the sky, she gave out her last cry of song. And she fell to the ground, a thorn through her breast. Well, it was officially day, and the student looked out his window and saw the rose. What luck, he exclaimed. He grabbed it and rushed to the professor's house. He offered it to the maiden. Now will you dance with me, he asked. But the maiden shook her head. The chamberlain's nephew already gave me jewels, and everyone knows that diamonds are far more expensive than any rose. Besides, it won't match my ball gown. The student stopped. Well, I think you're very ungrateful. And he threw the rose into the gutter, where it was run over by a cartwheel. He had broken his promise to the nightingale. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Lily Paul, and I'm in 3rd grade at Mountain View Elementary. This is my true story titled Family Business. Once, on a cold December morning, I was having the time of my life at our annual Santa Claus party. And there are about 15 million people in this small house. Okay, 15 million-ish. And when there are 15 million-ish people, and half of them are kids, the basement gets to be a mess. I went down there just to go check it out. And it was a disaster. Barbies from here to Africa and play clothes, play utensils, play food, play everything. And all the kids were just sitting in the mess. So I decided to do that too. But pretty soon, I heard Uncle Gary come downstairs. Thump, 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 thump. Look at this mess, Lolly. You have to clean it up since you're the oldest down here. I said, yes, sir, because no one refuses Uncle Gary.
But I was so tired, I just needed a break. My eyes scanned the room and focused on a little 4-year-old. Her name was Evie. Hey, Evie, come over here.
Yes, Lolly?
How do you feel about cleaning?
What's it to ya?
How about I give you 10 junior mints to clean the whole basement by yourself?
Make it 20 and you got yourself a deal.
Okay, 20 junior mints. We shook hands on it. I curled up on the couch and took a nice long shh. Next thing I know, tap, tap, tap.
Lolly, the basement's all done.
I'll be the judge of that. I took out my white glove and got my magnifying glass and inspected for play clothes, Barbies, dust. Wow, 4-year-olds are pretty good cleaners. Another little tap, tap, tap on my shoulder.
Now, Lolly, it's time to pay up.
Okay. I counted out 20 junior mints. I don't even know if 4-year-olds can count to 20, but I was honest. We shook hands and Evie said,
Nice doing business with you.
see you next family party.
And next time, bring ice cream. With sprinkles.
And that, my friends, is how you work smarter, not harder.
Wow, Lolly, good job. Good job. All three of you did such an amazing job.